Get the feed real quick. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
One.
All right, we in there. Okay, shalom. Before we get started with this lesson, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachahakwadash. Double honor to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. Peace and salutation to the elect that's out here laboring in all truth and sincerity. You know, to you we say shalom. All right, so brother Great Millstone Charlotte coming back with another Lord willing edifying lesson to feed the elect of the nation of Israel. And pretty much in this lesson, you know, we wanted to do a response to this video that's been going around Israel, dealing with this dude, Matt Walsh. And as you see the caption above the video, all right, it was some statements made how he's pretty much he says he's not ashamed of America's, pretty much the colonization that the so-called white man has done throughout his history. And he said he will never apologize, for that. All right, so we're going, let him speak for a couple minutes, and then we're gonna go in on this fucking Edomite, man.
Cancel hundreds, if not thousands of people in one fell swoop. We are canceling all of the people who are outraged at me on social media right now. Now, of course, there are always people outraged at me on social media, but there has been an unusually intense wave of it due to something I posted on X yesterday. I was reiterating something I said on the show earlier that day, which itself was a reiteration of something that I've said many times on the show. But here was the post, which has now been viewed 4 or 5 million times. Many of them angry views, a lot of angry viewing going on. And the post said this: America is not a nation built by immigrants. America was built by settlers. There's a difference. Settlers ventured out into the wilderness to build a civilization from scratch. The modern immigrant comes to a place that's already built. Settlers plant the trees. The modern immigrant comes to eat the fruits. If you cannot see the difference, I don't know how else to explain it. Now, as you can imagine, there are many angry responses to this, and I can't read them all, but let me give you a representative sample. I'll read 5 or 6 of these and give you the flavor of how people are responding. First one says slaves shipped from Africa provided
colonizers free
the white settlers, colonizers free bonded lifelong slave labor, while white settler colonizers killed Native Americans. A civilization to be proud of.
Another says the Americas were
already inhabited by tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of indigenous people long before colonizers arrived.
Brother say something.
Con, I was saying it sounds like it's a delay on the video.
It's lagging?
It's like playing back and forth. Are there 2 videos playing?
It shouldn't be. Hold on, let me take it off and put it back on.
Yeah, so I think it's only when when we can hear on the feed, it sounds fine.
Okay, all right, that's cool then. Salakia.
One second.
Another says you constantly dog whistle for white supremacy, yet you remain a confused bigot whose base consists of people who can't be bothered to read a history book or any book for that matter. America wasn't built from scratch by settlers. It was taken from thriving indigenous civilizations built on the forced labor of enslaved people and expanded by waves of immigrants who continue to shape it today.
The idea that settlers
built civilization alone ignores the history of destruction, displacement, and stolen land. Indigenous nations had governments, trade networks, and advanced societies long before your ancestors, mostly thugs and fugitives, arrived.
Another says settlers,
you mean colonizers who took land from indigenous people and built an economy on slavery.
Because that's the reality of how America was actually built.
And the idea that immigrants today just eat the fruits without contributing is pure nonsense. Every generation of immigrants has worked, innovated, and strengthened the country, whether it was the Irish, Italians, Chinese, or today's diverse wave of newcomers. America was and still is built by immigrants. The only difference is that today's immigrants don't have to commit genocide to settle here.
And then
actually, America was built by...
Fast forward to the part they went in on.
Racism and fascism have not dissuaded me.
Have not dissuaded me or convinced me that.
Go ahead.
I wanted to make a quick point. He tried to pull out that comment that was talking about how, the people that came over here, they were pretty much degenerates, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that in order to forward themselves, they had to do things that these people, their descendants, have not had to do. When in fact, when you go into the inner workings of this man's hegemony, it's still predicated upon bondage. It's still predicated upon colonialism, right? The reach of colonialism is far broader than what people understand. It's not just this idea of, okay, well, we're just going to go into your communities and, or not communities, but go into your country and then just pillage the land. No, this devil has reach that far exceeds that. I want to just pull this definition right quick of imperialism, if I may. So like, yeah, my computer's bugging out right now. The definition of imperialism is the extension of a nation's authority by territorial acquisition or by the establishment of economic and political dominance over other nations, right? So when we consider the reach of Edom, right, and how the scriptures speak about how the earth was given into the hand of the wicked pursuant to Job 9:24, that control still holds to this very day, right? So when the idea of saying, oh, well, you don't have to go out and murder, well, they go about it in a different fashion, right? It's still the same play. I just want to get this quick precept, if I may, right fast. This is Salakia. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. Matter of fact, I'll start at 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, right? And this is speaking of Esau, Edom, right? The self-proclaimed white race, right? Who was the topic of discussion of colonialization and conquest. It says, but the just shall live by his faith. Yet also because he transgresseth by wine, right? That wine going into his doctrines and his philosophies, right? He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death and cannot be satisfied. So we see that this man's mindset has never changed, right? Though it's deviated from the path that it once was, he's gone about it in a different way. He's more covert, he's more subtle, right? With painting this image of he's innocent, he's changed, but he's just changed how he goes about his villainy, right?
Yeah.
He's still pushing out the doctrines and philosophies to throw nations over, topple nations.
Because just speaking on, his history, when Esau is speaking, about, the colonization, and the conquest that he was able to do, how he was able to take over this country, they never go into the bloodshed that was really done. They want to talk about how they made mankind better and all this bullshit, but you did a lot of wickedness in the midst of that. And as we're going to go through in this lesson, we're going to break that down. And what it really is now is these devils are doubling down on that pride, because as they near the end of their empire and they see that it's fallen, all right, they're trying to, gather up that last bit of hope and pride to try to stay intact, but they see that they're on the way out, man. All right, they're they're pretty much being overpopulated by the really by Jake period, but the rest of the world is looking down on them. They're ashamed, but at the same time they're proud, because right now they're in the rulership seat, man. So as they're seeing their children and everybody coming up in this quote unquote woke culture, like we went into when Trump first got in the office, they were in a state of shame when Biden was in office. All right, you saw that white guilt and all that, but since Trump has come back, into office, they're very boastful, in that Edomite pride now. And this dude Matt Walsh is an example of that, because what you're going to hear him say is exemplifying that pride, man. You got some more, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I can finish out the verse. I mean, that was pretty much the point.
Kyle, you got it.
So let me jump back to it. Salakia.
You know,
Habakkuk
these
chapter
devils
2 and
are
5.
very proud, man. But go ahead.
Habakkuk chapter 2 and 5 in the latter, it says, neither keepeth at home who enlargeth his desire as hell and as his death, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. You know? So putting literally everybody under his foot, everybody being put under his foot of subjection and authority. This devil is not, he is not of the mindset to be conquered. He wants to be the conqueror to this day, but he goes about it in different means. It's still the same intent of heart. Just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, real quick before we play the video, go to Revelation 6 and 4.
God, beautiful. Yep.
That's been his whole MO since he came into power.
Yep. Going off, you got it, bro?
God, guys. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 6 and verse 4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth.
And that red horse is dealing with the so-called white man, Esau, Edom. Okay, hey, that horse represents that power, and that power was given to him. When you read Job 9:24 and Daniel 4:17, the Most High gave him this world to rule for this period that we're in. All right, and since he came into power, that he has done just that. He has took peace from the earth, man, because he went through the earth with that sword that we're about to read. Go ahead.
And you go into that word peace, it speaks on being free from war. You know, so Esau's whole MO is to introduce war and chaos right into every land that he occupies, man.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Go ahead, finish it out.
Okay. It says that and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword.
That great sword. So, you know, since him being in the rulership, bro, he has to continually be at war because Esau is a man of blood. All right. Now, off that point you just made, I wanted to get this. So I typed it in Google. How many years has America have been at war? And from the AI overview, it says the United States has been at war for roughly 93.5% of its existence, or 222 out of 239 years since 1776, with only a few years of peace. You know, so all Esau knows is bloodshed. All right, John 10 and 10, man. All right, so we're gonna get that. Might as well get that now. You know, I'll read it real quick. This is the book of John 10 and 10. It says, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. Right. And the thief is speaking of is the Edomites, because as we know, all right, they'll tell you that lie about Columbus, all right, whose real name is Cristobal Colombo. All right, he was a small hat. Okay.
Cristobal
But
Colon.
he didn't, huh?
Cristobal Colon.
Yeah, it's like I said the wrong last name, but yeah, he was a small hat, all right. And so what his real, purpose was coming over here was to pretty much come over here and enslave the indigenous people, which were the Israelites, all right. And the time, they will tell you that these people are over here. They were savages, which he's going to say in the video, all right. How they pretty much was, just unrulable, they were just monsters. They were savages. They needed to be, tamed and, groomed into how to be normal living human beings. But that's the thing about Esau's history. All right, when you break down that word history, it's really his story, his version of what he says is true. Okay, because they don't go into the fact that we already had, a thriving kingdom over here, even though Jake was going off. But we weren't as stupid as they make it sound like, man. Okay? So, as it says, the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and to destroy. And that's what Esau has done to this land. But then he'll sit there and say that Gad and Reuben and the Northern Kingdom were, the savages when America was a land of milk and honey. All right, when we were over here before the so-called white man came over here, and look what he has done to this land since then. All right. He has made this place a third world country. Because when Gad and Reuben and the Northern Kingdom was over here, all right, this place was abundant in resources and gold, minerals, and whatnot. And Esau came and pillaged everything to, hey, you don't even see, you know, fruit trees and anything like that no more, man. So who's the real savage, man? You know? Y'all got anything else before we play the video?
I'm gonna get a definition for you real quick.
Go ahead.
This is I got two of them. First, this is colonialism in the AI overview. It reads, colonialism is the practice of one country controlling another, often through settlement, exploitation of resources, and imposing its culture and political systems, resulting in the subjugation of the indigenous population. You know, so this is exactly what they did, right? He's speaking on this thing as we'll watch the video. He's speaking on as if this is some great mark of pride that they can take, you know, to themselves, man. As if this was something good, you know, as if they were saving the world, you know, because Esau has that savior complex. You know, he thinks that him imposing his will on the earth, right, is doing good. But the scriptures tell us that if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly. You know, his only purpose on this earth is to steal, kill, and destroy, like the priest had just read, man. You know? Now, I wanted to get this here. This is a revisionist history, and it reads, revisionist history refers to the reinterpretation or reevaluation of established historical narratives, often challenging conventional understandings or perspectives, and can be used positively or negatively depending on the context, right? So this is what we see Esau doing right now, is going back and revising the history that had already been established, right? That's why you have critical race theory, you know, and things of that nature, because they want to go back and rewrite the story because the original story makes them look terrible, you know, because they are terrible.
Exactly.
Right? So that's why he's going and speaking on these things and not even touching on the atrocities that they've taken part in, man. Right? He's speaking on it as if it was all sunshine and rainbows when they got over here, right? As if everything was just, you know, caveman times and things of that nature, right? But this is part of what Esau does. That's that forked tongue that he speaks in, right? Because he wants to paint himself out to be the hero, man.
Is our civilization one that we should be proud of, even in spite of its history of conquest? No. Not in spite of that history. I'm proud of it in large part because of that history. It is one of the great triumphs of all time that our forefathers had to first conquer an ocean in order to then land on a giant mass of uncharted wilderness filled with untold dangers and wild beasts and, yes, primitive warring tribes, many of whom practiced human sacrifice and cannibalism, and who, if they captured you, would torture you for fun and rape your wife and children before killing you, maybe eating your internal organs and taking your family as their property. And yet, in the face of those unimaginable horrors, our forefathers and ancestors conquered this entire hemisphere and settled it and single-handedly dragged it out of the Stone Age and built from the wilderness the greatest civilization the world had ever known. Am I proud of that? Yes, I am. Now, the natives lived in the Americas for 20,000 years. This is something that the left and the people who hate this country like to bring up all the time. Well, they were here for so long. Yeah, they were here for a long time. What did they do in that time? During that time, they never figured out the wheel. They never figured out written language. Most of them progressed hardly at all over the course of 200 centuries. They were still eating each other and living in tents, many of them. The great tribes of Mesoamerica had advanced the most. And by that I mean they had caught up to the ancient Egyptians by the time that the conquistadors showed up. They were building pyramids at a time when Europeans were using the printing press. Then European settlers arrived here, and in less than 3 centuries, they had established a nation. In another 70 or so years, that nation would stretch across the entire continent from one ocean to another. In another 50 years, they'd be digging a giant trench through the earth to physically connect one ocean to the other. At the same time, they would be building vehicles that can fly through the air. In another few decades, they'd be walking on the surface of the moon. These settlers took a wilderness sparsely inhabited by hostile Stone Age natives, and in a matter of a few centuries built the greatest, most advanced, most globally dominant nation the world has ever known. Am I proud of that? Oh, yes. I am very proud of that. And I will always be proud of that.
Now, we got to dissect this because this nigga told a lot of untruths in this bullshit. All right? A lot of untruths, man. Because first and foremost, Okay, like Cornwall just said, he tried to paint the Northern Kingdom like they were cavemen over here. Like they were walking around with bones in their noses, which they were, but they had they had technology. Okay, they had thriving civilizations where it's like, nigga, do you not remember whenever you got over here to the Americas that they literally had to teach you how to survive off the land? So all this is what he just said. Like, what's that word you just used? Was it what is it? What?
Revisionist history.
Revisionist history, because they negate certain parts of the history that, like you said, makes them look unfavorable. Okay. All right, hey, I'm gonna grab this, man, because this is some bullshit. This is Obadiah chapter 1 and 3. It says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwelleth in the cleft of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Right, because that pride has deceived you, devils, because you truly act like you are the saving grace for the whole world. Like the world would be, would not be, fashionable, livable if it wasn't for you devils and your technological advancements. Well, that's not true, because Israel has always been thriving way before America. But just using America, everything that he just named, that technology was already used. It was already invented before. You act like you were the first nation to come over here, on boats. King Solomon already had done that. Okay, he already had routes that he used. Them Hamites to bring over, different things over from the Americas back to where he was, man. You weren't the first, nations to have aircrafts and all that. No, Israel been doing that, because what the scripture, Israel is the salt of the earth. If y'all know what that's at, not Israel's salt of the earth, the form of all things. Baba Kushah.
I got it right here. This is Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 16. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahweh of hosts is his name.
Right. So when it comes down to Jake's, inventions, Esau will only give credit to what was done post slavery. All right, like Gad, Ephraim, and Judah weren't shit until Esau's influence. Like, nah, man, this is why you have to look into your history. Majority of everything that Esau uses, he stole idea concepts from Jake. We have made everything to make this world where it runs perfect. But what Esau does with his technology is that he'll make it, but it's detrimental to the earth. And when we used the inventions that we had, it was beneficial to the earth because we're one with the earth. But Esau's he's inhabitable with the earth. He's not one with the earth. He brings forth death, man. Okay.
If I can make a point too, priest, the way Jake coexisted with the earth, right? It was so that both parties could thrive, man. Right?
Exactly.
You saw that with the Northern Kingdom in particular, right? He talks about how they didn't have these levels of technology and things of that nature, but they didn't need that because there was a symbiotic relationship, right, between the people and the lands, right? Esau would come into the land and destroy the land, and then you abuse the resources, man, right? That's why if you watch the entirety of that video, he speaks on how there weren't that many, which that those numbers he used are lies and whatnot. But he speaks on how the land was barren and sparse, but it was like that because Gad, Reuben, Issachar, all the northern tribes were using the land in its not perfection, but in its best glory, man. Right, for that time, Esau would come and take all the resources, and now you see the result is everything is barren now, man.
Exactly. I'm gonna play this with the brother just sent me.
This place shouldn't be here. Machu Picchu isn't even the only city in the area that's 8,000 feet high. Yana Picchu is even higher. Before we try and explain how they got the rock to do that, you got to explain why it was a priority to put doorways that go nowhere in the temple. This rock right here is what really gets me, though. How do you get that up there? How did they know the same techniques as another culture across the globe? Why is the older stuff more advanced than the newer stuff? I don't see iPhones getting worse. I wouldn't know how to get water up here, but their fountains still work. We only know how they did it because we 3D scanned it. Not only did they know how to get it up there, they delivered it to the citizens via art. No one gives these guys enough credit. They thought these were for food or like grain, grinding grain up. They fill up with water one day and someone notices the angle at which they reflect. They built them to observe sections of the sky during specific times of the year through the windows of the surrounding building. And then we realize the whole place is aligned to the sky, celestial events. Here's the deal. When someone comes in and takes all your stuff, then enslaves your people, they get to write your story and make your people look like idiots. South America, Africa, India. Strange that they all have some form of this guy. All of them just so happen to have the most unexplainable stuff. Utterly unsatisfactory explanations for what it was. All of which make the natives look inferior. Tell you what doesn't lie. Big old rock.
Now, to add on to this, because this is, dealing with Central America, you have dealing with the Mayans. Put that in here. Because he mentioned dealing with the water. Hey, we already had an aqueduct system already over here, man. This is from summitvoice.wordpress.com. Ancient Maya engineered tunnels to pressurize water. Just skimming through it. Maya people living in Palenque, Mexico in the 6th and 7th century probably engineered underground aqueducts to create the first known pressurized water system in the New World, according to a pair of Penn State scientists who studied the ancient waterworks. It is not known exactly how the Maya used the pressurized water system, but the archaeologists and hydraulists who studied the site said that the water may have supplied a fountain or perhaps used to transport wastewater away from the city. The researchers described their research in a recent issue of the Journal of Archaeological Science, explaining that water pressure systems were previously thought to have introduced to the Americas with the arrival of Europeans. So Esau will always try to make it seem like he's the starter of all these things, bro. Esau is the basis of all men. All right, this nigga is a professional swagger jacker and culture vulture, man. This nigga has never made anything off of his own merit. Okay, he's stolen everything, man. So it says the researchers, but their findings indicate that the archaeological data, seasonal climate conditions, geomorphic settings, and simple hydraulic theory clearly show that the Maya of Palenque and Chiapas, Mexico, had empirical knowledge of closed channel water pressure predating the arrival of Europeans. And we can just stop right there, man, because at the end of the day, hey, Jake been doing stuff like this, man. A lot of the inventions that that's being used here in America, it wasn't just coming from so-called blacks, Judah, man. Hey, it comes from all the tribes, man. Because we're all Israelites at the end of the day. We just different names, all right, and that's being used by Esau to pretty much confuse. Like, for an example, right here, it's off of history.com. 10 Native American inventions commonly used today. All right, it says from kayaks to contraceptives to pain relievers, Native Americans from a range of tribal nations developed key innovations long before Columbus reached the Americas. So I'm gonna just read. It says corn, rubber, kayaks, snow goggles, cable suspension bridges, raised bed agriculture, baby bottles, anesthesics, and topical pain relievers. Because we know Jake there's a lot of Native American, medicines dealing with the herbs. You had the medical men's and all that. Syringes, hammocks, oral contraceptives, mouthwash, and so on. So just giving a few examples that Jake already had knowledge of these things before Esau's influence, man. All right. But this devil will sit and say that bullshit like Jake was just some retarded caveman when really it was them. Because when you really go into their history, dealing with before they, came into power, hey, they were living in them caves, man. Hey, Jake through the Moors, all right, at that time, we had to actually colonize them damn devils, man. Teach them how to wash, how to speak, and all that, But they will never tell you that history, though, man. Y'all bros got it.
I got one for you. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, and verse 1. Then shall a righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors. Right? And this is what we're seeing taking place, is that Edomites like Matt Walsh will refuse to make account, right, of the works that the Israelites have done, man. Right? Yep. Of the achievements that Gad had accomplished that benefited them. Esau came over here and didn't settle anything. They were a welfare case, right, until they got the strength to overtake Gad, man. Jake was over here taking care of babysitting them for hundreds of years, right, showing them how to cultivate the land, right, showing them how to hunt, showing them how to thrive and build a community, right. All Esau did was build log cabins, right, and then bring disease, man. Right, they had to be taught how to exist in a civilized manner. That's why they came over here, because they got banished for being uncivilized, man.
That's it. If I may land back on that point too, the various conquistadors, their memoirs, when they speak about their travels, they speak highly of the tribes that were over here in the Americas, right? Mm-hmm. When they were going through their period of conquest. Right, how they were communicating with the different tribes and their mannerisms, their customs, their cultures, right? They gave their account and said, look, these are children of Israel. These are the lost 10 tribes of Israel. Right. So how can you try to refute God's holy children as being less than yours?
Exactly.
Yeah, just to add to what you were just saying, because he said that, hey, we were people that had no culture, no language. But as you see right here, dealing with it said the Aztec commandments. Aztecs are the descendants of the tribe of Issachar of Israel. It says when Spanish friars first set foot on American soil, they observed and recorded native religious ceremony and ritual. They were puzzled when they found that indigenous concepts and practices were, in many ways, quite similar to Roman Catholic practices. The natives not only practiced confession and penitence, Lent, last rites, and Holy Communion, they had their own version of the 10 Commandments, except there were 8, but was very similar. All right, and you have that with the Mayans, and just Gad, period. Because, like you said, can we get 2nd Ezra 13 and 40 real quick? That was the whole point of why the 10 tribes, came over here, trying to escape the Assyrian captivity, but they came over here with the sole purpose of trying to follow the Lord's ways, but over the process of time through prophecy, we had to eventually fall away, from our heritage, which is what he was trying to imply when he was talking about, Jacob was, sacrificing their children and, warring amongst each other, which that did happen, but that was all prophecy, man. All right. But even amongst that, Jacob still was, thriving, man.
Exactly. God inside 2nd Ezra chapter 13 and verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that other land being over here in America. All right, which at the time was known as Azareth. All right, but this land, all right, was originally Northern Kingdoms, specifically, Gad, Reuben, and Issachar, man. All right, from Canada all the way down to Mexico, that this was Jake's land. And when Esau came over here, because Columbus, he knew the 10 tribes over here. Because when you watch that movie of 1492, he literally said in that movie that his favorite book of the scriptures was Second Ezra. You know, specifically that chapter that we're reading now, man. You know, so he already knew who was over here. Why do you think he had Hebrew interpreters when he came over here? But let them tell you we was a people of no language. No, he's talking about himself. All right, like Job, the 30th chapter. We can hold that on deck too. They were people of no language. You know. Go ahead, Doc.
Okay. Verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Yeah, like I said, this is over here in the Americas, and that's why when you see these Edomites, you know, in their records, when they was studying, you know, the 10 tribes, they saw that, you know, they had customs that were very similar to the Hebrew Israelites, man. Okay, that's why, like, you have the Decalogue stone, the Los Lunas stone. All right, they knew that they spoke Hebrew. All right, and eventually there was, you know, broken Hebrew. All right, like the Cherokee language. When you look at the alphabet, some of the letters kind of look like the Hebrew, man. You know, they had their own, you know, saying. That's why whenever they began to, you know, colonize the Northern Kingdom, they had, you know, the boarding schools with the whole concept of, you know, kill the Indian, save the man. All right, they were separating the children from the parents, so that they will eventually lose their heritage. You know, but Matt Walsh, he must be proud of that too, because that's part of your history that you boasting about. You know, how you colonize the people and strip them of their heritage, man. Which we know you Edomites are proud about that, because it's scriptural. Okay, any more?
Okay. Verse 42, that they might dare keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
Yeah, that was the whole purpose of what, you know, we came over here to do, which was to keep the law, statute, commandments to the best of our ability. But after a process of time, we fell away, and this is why you start seeing, you know, Jake start going left. All right, and you know, even though Jake was going left, it was still, you know, remnants of our customs amongst them. They have prophecies, all right, of Yahweh Shai, all right, you know, Kuku Khan and Quetzalcoatl, all right. So those two names was names for Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai, according to the history, he actually came over here and spoke to the Northern Kingdom, all right. Gad and Reuben, they had their prophecies for Yahweh Shai as well, man. You know, but like I said, Esau will try to paint the picture like we were just savages. Nah, you know, like we heard in the video from the Instagram post. All right, in order for you to pretty much, you know, dehumanize a nation, you have to pretty much change their history and portray them in a demeaning light, man. You know.
Yeah, that's why they always start, you know, Northern Kingdom's history with movies like what's it
Apocalypto.
called? Apocalypto, yeah. Right? To make it seem as though that was the whole history, man. Right? But it was thousands of years before that, man. Right? Where they were actually in their right mind. That idolatry ultimately crept its way in, right? But you know, they went over there with the right intentions. But they won't ever speak on that. And that history is written down somewhere, you know, but they won't make mention of it because it changes the narrative that they decided to portray, man.
Hey, that history, you can use that book, James the Deer. I forget the title of it, but you know, it's a book that we use, you know, to show that Esau knows that the tribe of Gad is Israelites, man. It's like the history of the North American Indian or something like that. I'm gonna try to look it up real quick. Well, could you grab that, Job, unless you have something?
Come on, I got that. Job chapter 30 and verse 5. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks.
Real quick. So yeah, that book, James the Deer, History of the American Indian, and in that book, he plainly describes how the tribe of Gad, they were Israelites, man. All right, he says that in the book. But just dealing with the precept the brother just read, okay, that was back during the time of the Dark Ages, all right, when Esau Edom was in them caves, man, all right, hey, they were grunting, had the ooga ooga shit, eating, food out their ancestors' skulls, wearing clothes so they would disintegrate off of them. That back then they were known as the Beast Man. When you look up that history, and we had to clean them up, all right, as they began to come out them caves, man. Right, look up the Moors' history, man. Y'all got it.
Can I add to that?
Mm-hmm.
This is Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And that bottomless pit is referencing Europe, right? A land that's barren of resources. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, right? So that old serpent, right, going into the pagan Roman Empire, right, really the Edomites, they were bound for 1,000 years, right? That fall that had took place, right? And then you had Jake come into rulership, in the Byzantine Empire, or as the scriptures speak about, or not the scriptures, but they call it the Byzantine Empire, Byzantine meaning backward, but really it was because Jake was in that seat of authority, right? And then you had Jake, establish themselves in different parts of Europe, establishing themselves as the kings, the rulers, right?
Right.
Which is why they reference it as the Dark Ages. But Esau was put into that base state of mind.
Right. Now I wanted to just back up what I said. So this is from I typed it in Google, Moors cleaning up white people, and it says right here, many Europeans choose to block out that part of their history. The Moors had to teach them how to use soap and also teach them to bathe daily. Before that, they only bathed once a year. The Moors did not maltreat them like the Moors did not maltreat them like they did to our ancestors are still doing today. And this is just dealing with the history of that. But coming over here to the Americas, like I said, you can use what Gad and Reuben did, all right, to help these Edomites, even be able to survive the winter. Because when you go into the history of when them damn devils got off them ships, all right, they were malnourished. Okay, they were, because they had scurvy, all right, so they had to give them oranges and shit to get their bodies back right, and they had to teach them how to live off the land, because prior to that they were, cannibalizing each other, all that nasty shit, man. And then what happened once they began to learn how to live off the land, then they turned on Gad, okay, and they were digging up, the dead bodies and eating them, broke over 500 treaties, he talks about them being savages, how we will, take them hostage and all that. Hey, when they began to war against them them Gadite tribes, these whole ass niggas will wait till the men will go off the hunt and then go pillage the village that was uninhabited by the men and rape, rob, and murder the women and children. So who's the real savage when you want to get into that, man? But this is the part of colonialism that the so-called white man conveniently leaves out. Okay.
Hey, even you go into, he was talking about how, settlers were fearing for their lives and things of that nature. There a lot of the stories that you heard, of the so-called, Indians killing these settlers were actually the settlers killing each other, and then
Exactly.
framing Gad for it, man. All that scalping and things of that nature, that was all Esau doing that, man. And he was setting it up for Gad to take the blame.
Yeah, this devil's wicked, man. All right, but then, like I said, he doesn't feel bad about what he's doing, man. Hey, real quick, could we get Ezekiel 22 and 29, and then Micah 2 and 1 and 2? So like you said, Esau can spin. Yeah, Ezekiel 22 and 29. Esau will spin the narrative to favor him being, the savior, and like I said, us being the savages, when it was really the opposite, man.
God. This is Ezekiel 22 verse 29. The people of the land have used oppression and exercised robbery and have vexed the poor and needy. Yea, they have oppressed the stranger wrongfully.
Right. now we can apply this to Esau in today's time, because at this point Esau has overtaken the land. All right, he's erased our history, so now he's the face of America. All right, and so what he has done throughout his history is use oppression. And it says an exercise robbery, because what has he done? He has stolen the land that was given unto Gad and Reuben, which goes into direct violation of the law. All right. Real quick, Deuteronomy 19:14. It says, "Thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmark, which they of old time have set in thine inheritance, which thou shalt inherit in the land that the Lord thy power giveth thee to possess it." Right. So Esau Edom has broken this commandment, because here it is: America was divided up amongst all the Gadite and Reubenite tribes, as well as the different Northern Kingdom tribes that's living in America. And Esau came and stole everything. Like I said, those treaties that he broke, I think that's Psalms 55 about how his words are smoother than butter, but inwardly, he pretty much wants to war with you, roughly paraphrasing. So he came over here with the guise of let's work together. I have my land over here, you have your land over there, and we can just cohabitate. When the whole point of what he wanted to do was to steal their land. So talking about the colonization and conquest, you don't go into the Trail of Tears, you don't go into the genocide of the Northern Kingdom, to where they pretty much almost completely got wiped out. All right. You don't talk about the complete destruction that has come out of colonization. And we're not even going to talk about the technology part of it yet, because this technology has done a number on the earth as well, man. But you want to boast in your your quote unquote achievement that you have done since coming over here, man. Yeah, you devils are a piece of work, man.
Hey, when you watch the longer version of that video, he talks about how pretty much the settlers were just interjecting themselves into that game of conquest, right? Because in Esau's mind, nobody owned the lands, right? Because there was no built up cities or things of that nature in the areas. They just assumed that everything was for the taking, right? And even though there were skirmishes between different factions of Israelites, he felt the need to interject himself into that, right? And ultimately to overpower them, man.
Yeah, he was able to use the curses against us, because that's all that was us succumbing to the curses. All right, don't the tribes warn against each other. That's that curse in Deuteronomy 28 about how we will have an evil eye, towards our brother. So Esau used that to his advantage, because, like the scriptures say, when pretty much a kingdom divided cannot stand. So he was able to use that divide and conquer, as well as using his our own people against us. The Buffalo Soldiers and all that. So these things are conveniently left out when speaking on the impact of the quote unquote good that they have done. Matter of fact, could you get Job 13:4 real quick? Because that falls in perfect line with what I got on the screen right now, man. Like, Esau's history is a load of bullshit.
That's it. So Job 13:4. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value.
Yeah, you are forgers of lies, because everything about your history is a lie. The quote unquote accomplishments that you have done, really, it was Jake that forwarded all the the technological advancements and different things like that. Esau didn't do anything but steal everything, man. Which goes back to that John 10:10, man. So when we really get into the nooks and cranny of what he's really done in the earth, it's really nothing but negative. But when you look at it from an outside view, when you don't really look at the impact of the earth itself, you can say, all right, yeah, it's been some good things, but the byproduct of it is not good, man, because everything is being affected by the technology, the Wi-Fi, the plastic, the diseases that's all coming. It's all negative shit. Okay, as you see right here. All right, because I typed in what negative effects did European colonization have on America, and this is from the AI overview. It says European colonization had devastating negative effects on the Americas, including the decimation of indigenous populations through disease and violence, displacement, and forced assimilation, and the destruction of culture and ecosystems. So what this sounds like is the so-called European was the real savage, you know. It says here's a more detailed look at the negative impacts. It says one devastating impact on indigenous populations, disease. European diseases to which indigenous populations had no immunity caused widespread death and societal collapse. Smallpox, measles, and other illnesses decimated Native American communities. Now, like I said earlier, GAD, all right, they had different medicine men, they were well versed in the herbs, so there was no common cold or no flu virus or none of that stuff that Esau brought over here, man. All right, that's why they were dying like that, because Esau is a naturally filthy person. Okay, so they brought many diseases over here, man. Okay, it says warfare and violence. Colonization led to conflicts and wars between Europeans and indigenous peoples, resulting in further loss of life and displacement. Slavery, the enslavement of indigenous people, followed by the forced labor of Africans, which we know were Israelites, further destabilized communities and caused immense sufferings. Depopulation. Estimates suggest that the indigenous population of the Americas declined by 75% to 95% following European contact. All right. And I'll just read the overview of everything else from
Can
here.
I add a point to that too, Priest?
You got it.
Because when those conquistadors landed and brought all those diseases, the reports are that the majority of the Israelites died before even making contact with the conquistadors or with Columbus and his folks, man, right? Or those British that came over, right? So those diseases spread through like wildfire, and before they could even take a true record of how many people were there, whole societies had already started to collapse, man.
That's right. All right. So it says loss of land and resources. It says forced assimilation, land seizure, environmental degradation, societal and cultural upheaval, disruption of traditional societies, creation of racial hierarchies, and then it says long-term consequences. The negative impacts of colonization continue to affect indigenous communities today, including issues of poverty, discrimination, and marginalization. Now, can we get that, Micah Baba Kushah?
God, I got it. This is Micah chapter 2 and verse 9. It says, "The women of my people have ye cast out from their pleasant houses. From their children have ye taken away my glory forever."
That's Micah 2-1.
Oh, Salakia 2-1. I thought you said 2-9. Salakia.
You good?
Micah chapter 2-1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds.
Mm-hmm.
When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand.
Right. Now, like we were saying, Esau was prophesied to come over here and do what he did to our people, because when you read in the curses, the scriptures talk about how the Lord was going to bring let me see if I can get that, a terrible and cruel Lord over here, man. But you continue on. I'm gonna find that real quick.
Verse 2. And they covet fields and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage.
Right, and that's what we saw Esau do with the Northern Kingdom, man. Like I mentioned earlier, those boarding schools, where they was taking Gad and separating the family, just like they did Judah, forcing them to forget their history. And this is why they'll sit there and say that, because these children that are being raised up, they'll believe that we are people of no history, because their ancestors they were cut off from them, to where they don't really know their history. So they can sit up there and tell these children today that you have no real history other than what we gave y'all, man. So this is why it's important for the parents to teach their children, all right, your true history, all right, what we really go back to, okay? Because Esau, let him tell you, bro, that's what puts that God complex on him, to where these these tribes look at Esau as God now, because when you put the image up of him being the Most High and so-called Jesus, and then you put all these different lies throughout history, our people really reverence this devil as God, man, because they don't know of the the long history that we have from this land.
Mm-hmm. Hey, if I can add to that, priest,
You got it.
a lot of Esau setting himself up in a position to be deified starts with them trying to push these different that Christianity and things of that nature, right? And what they would do is send these priests into these natives' lands, right, as if they were prophets, right? Pretty much give a warning, right? They would tell them to try to convert them over into Christianity, and then right behind them would come the cavalries, man. Right? They would send the armies in behind, so it would look as though this was some type of divine, retribution taking place because they refused to take on the ways of this heathen, man.
Yeah, because just using that what you just said as an example, you had dealing with Issachar, how they, like I said, they understood prophecy, so they dealing with Quetzalcoatl, they knew that the Lord was going to come back on the ship, from the east. So when they saw the ships that was it Hector Cortez, I want to say was his name, came, you had the king at that time. I forget the name of the king, but pretty much he thought that Cortez was a god. So while the rest of his people were pretty much warning him not to trust the devil, all right, he had reverence for him and brought him in and allowed him to get close, and that's how eventually we got conquered. But you had also, the like you said, these priests or whatever that will come in and try to force Jesus on the Northern Kingdom, and when they refused to worship, Jesus, all right, they got burned at the stake, they got tortured. Women, that were pregnant, he would hang them up upside down, cut their stomach open, the baby will fall out, he stomped the baby's head. They'd make bets on who would die first between the baby and the mother. So it was all type of wicked shit that was being done. But like I said, these things are talked about in Esau's history, man. So going back to, like we said, they oppress a man in his heritage, because Esau will purposely leave these things out of history and then give you all the fluff to make it seem like they did nothing but good for you. All right. This is why it's important for you to know your history. Like I said, if you don't know the history, you don't know the mystery, you don't know where you're coming from, you're gonna know where you're going, man. So from there, can we get Psalm 73 and 5? Because now we're gonna get on the that pride and that judgment that's awaiting them, man. Because this is really, the things that Esau is trying to run away from. All right.
God. It's the book of Psalm chapter 73 and verse 5. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, God.
Yeah, it said they are not in trouble like other men, neither are they plagued like other men, because through prophecy is what is allowed Esau Edom to be where he is now, man. All right, you had that term that they always used to use. You don't hear them say it much anymore, but it's called manifest destiny. So they believe that they were commissioned by God to come over here and do God's work, which in a way they were, because prophecy said that these things were going to happen, but that doesn't justify the length in which they went about doing these things, man. All right, they went above and beyond destroying Jake, man.
Yep.
So
Could I actually add to that? Because what you just said, that scripture. Let me grab that right quick, Salakia.
Mm-hmm.
This is Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 15. It says, matter of fact, I'll start at 13. And Yahweh answered the angel that talked with me with good words and comfortable words. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, cry thou, saying, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. So like the priest has said, these heathen, they went overboard. You know, the atrocities that the tribes faced under the helm or under the feet of these Edomites, as well as the other heathen nations, was outrageous. There's no other atrocity that can compare.
Right.
You know, we read about that in Lamentations, the 2nd chapter, starting at the 15th verse. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Who else has went through this measure of affliction?
I think it's in Maccabees too. What nation has suffered like Israel, roughly paraphrasing?
Mm.
I want to say
Hey,
Maccabees 2:10.
the track record is there.
It speaks for itself, bro.
Hey, who else has gone through the hardships that the children of Israel have experienced? That goes to show forth as the scriptures speak about in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, that these curses will cling unto us as a sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I got a meme on my phone where it says it's Judah, Gad, and Ephraim. For Judah, it says my people was stolen by the same people. For Gad, it says my land was stolen by the same people. And then Issachar, my people were exploited by the same people. And then on the bottom, in all caps, it says we all have the same enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we all have a very haunting history dealing with this fucking devil, man.
Right, real life boogeyman.
Facts. No Kendrick. You got it out.
Psalm 73:6. Therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment.
Yeah, and this is what we see coming from Edomites like Matt Walsh, man. All right, because if the main devil, the elite, they're not sorry for what happened. We're starting to see that spirit trickle down to the average everyday Edomite, because that's in their spirit to be at odds with Jake, and that's that Psalms 10 where it says that they feel like the Most High he doesn't see what they're doing to his people, and then he has forgotten what they have done to his people, man.
When you read this in the NLT, it says they wear pride like a jeweled necklace and clothe themselves with cruelty. And like you said, Matt Walsh is a walking example of that. But that pride is being amplified in the rest of these Edomites out here, man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're starting to see them walk around with that Edomite pomp, right, of the past, because they feel emboldened, by this current administration, right? And even they're at the point where they have nothing to lose, right? They feel as though their power is slipping away, so why hide anymore? Like exactly. You said, Tajwan, that covert racism, right? They don't want to play in the shadows anymore, right? They rather bring it out to the forefront, to the light.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, no, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
Now I was gonna say, there's this show called Invincible, and this dude named Conquest. He was like, I want to thank you, Mark. He was like, I don't know what it is that you did, but they gave me free reign, no restrictions. It's a rare occasion I can go all out like this. Because with Esau being covert, with his Edomite supremacy, it's hard for him to really let out that animal that's in him, let out that hate, because there's parameters that's associated to it. But now we see that spirit of overt Edomite supremacy is coming out, and we're seeing those parameters break, to the point where it's just going to break all out, and Esau is going to use that blessing to come against Jake.
That's right. Yeah, man. So like we were saying before we got the camera on, and we prefer Esau to be like this, man. Because at the end of the day, like you said, that covertness that's over with now, man. Trump in office, he doing what he doing, man. So hey, we want more Edomites to come out here and tell us how they really feel, man. Because that's doing nothing more than fueling prophecy, and it's going to wake up these boneheaded niggas that still think that Esau care about them, man. This is not a individual, case by case situation. This is how all these Edomites feel about you, man. Because when you go into Genesis, the 27th chapter, that spirit of when my father Jacob, Isaac passes, all right, I'm gonna seek to slay my brother. That spirit never went away, man. It's still here today, and it's coming back out with a vengeance, man.
Right. Did you want to keep going in that?
Con, you go down to verse 9.
Okay. To Psalm 73 and 7. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than the heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily.
Yeah, and this is an example of that. How these devils are proud about the atrocity that they have done, all right, in the past, because America is a society, a country that was built off of blood. All right. You talk about colonialism like that, like it wasn't no that was a light thing. Like it was just, we come over here, okay, we conquered you. All right, now you belong to us. No, it was a lot of blood that was shed here, man. All right, and I got a precept. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establishes a city with iniquity. And that's how America was brought in, man, off of the bloodshed of the Israelites, man. Specifically the Northern Kingdom, all right, up until when the Southern Kingdom was brought over here. But at the end of the day, you stole this land and murdered the Northern Kingdom to get this, man. All right, so we want you to be proud, because that pride is going to eventually lead to your downfall, man. Because like the elder Ashiar always says, man, nobody gets away. The Most High has recorded what you have done, and you're going to pay. Okay.
Psalm 73:9. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth.
Yeah, because as him saying this, they act like there's God's gift to humanity, when really, like we said earlier, you have been a detriment to society, because the technology, and everything that you're boasting in, it's been here already, man. Lessons have been done. Proof has been shown through history of everything that Esau has invented. Jake he has been invented it way before America was established as a society, man. This is all old technology that Esau is boasting in now, man. And like I said, the technology that we use, it was beneficial to the earth. It wasn't a parasitic relationship. It was symbiotic, like you said earlier. Okay, because when the Israelites use things, we use everything, all right, in the proper manner. See, Esau, all right, he uses it to help himself, and then at the end, everybody suffers, man. Okay, the people, the earth, the animals, everything suffers under his so-called technological advancement. This is why we read earlier in Job 13:4. He's a forger of lie, a physician of no value. No good has came from this devil, man. Okay.
Yep.
Hey, it's the spirit. The brother brought out that got conquest in the Invincible. Because if you watch the show, not the spoiler or whatever, but he had a little monologue where he was talking about how all the other Viltrumites fear him, and the more atrocities he commits, the greater that fear becomes, the better he gets at killing, the more they're afraid of him. And that's the way that these Edomites look, or the world looks at these Edomites, man. Right? They were set forth, like he was talking about. He doesn't even get a real name, just the purpose, right? Which is conquest. And that's what Edom was set forth in the earth to do, man. Right? It was to steal, kill, and destroy, as you have brought out. Right? So this is how the world looks at Esau, right, as that overwhelming force of death. So that's why nobody has taken taken a stand against them outside of the prophets, man.
Yeah. And this is why eventually it's going to get to a point where the Lord's going to raise up all these different nations to come against them and shoot missiles on them, man. I'll grab that real quick. This is Revelation chapter 11 and 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. So, the Most High is going to eventually recompense you for all the atrocity that you have done, because America has a tab that it has not yet paid, man. Okay, and we can hold that numbers 35 and 33. All right. Hey, Esau's time is coming. So we, like I say, the Lord allowing this man to come out and begin to, tell the world how he truly feels about what he has done in his history. It's all part of prophecy, because the Lord is allowing that pride to be, risen up. So when the Lord brings the smackdown, man, it's going to be the ultimate humbling, man. All right. And before we get that, grab Lamentations 4 and 21.
Yeah, Lamentations. This is Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 21. It reads, "Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz.
Mm-hmm.
The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken, and thou shalt make thyself naked."
Right. So the irony of the situation is that look, when Israel gets back that power, we're gonna colonize the world, but it's gonna be in righteousness, man. Okay. And the ultimate conquest is gonna be us rounding all these Edomites up, subjugating them to slavery for 1,000 years, and after, well, all the heathen, but Esau being the main crop of the slaves. All right, and then after that 1,000 years, once the kingdom is built up, all right, we're gonna round all you Edomites up and burn you in a pit, like it says in Obadiah 1:18, and then that's gonna be the end of Esau. So yeah, both in your history while you still can, because retribution is coming. All right, that cup will be passed unto you, and you Edomites are gonna drink to the dregs of it, man. Okay, you ain't gonna know true colonization until you see how Israel do it, man.
God.
But yeah, we can get
May I read the next verse?
Oh, go ahead.
Lamentations 4 and 22. "The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins." You know,
speak on it.
hey, because this is the last round of captivity for us Israelites, you so-called Black Hispanics, Native Americans, Latinos, right? This is the last time that we will be carried off into captivity, right? And our welfare is almost accomplished, right? The Lord is reforming our minds, right? Bringing us back, to his ways, right? To offend less. And now we see that camera, we're starting to get like you ever see like the frame of it's a person that's it looks like they're being chased, but the frame, if you broaden out the frame, it tells more of a picture. We're starting to see that frame is getting closer away, and we're starting to see that the focus is shifting to Edom.
Yep.
Right? The Lord is starting to, pretty much bring out the secrets of Esau, right? He's showing the intent and hearts of the Edomites, He's showing the inner workings of how this devil has not changed, right? And how he won't repent. Even in the scriptures, it tells you that at the time after the judgment of the second death, and these Edomites are in captivity, they're not going to repent.
We can grab that. Yeah, Corner, if you want to grab that one, or whoever. Because that's the spirit that we're seeing now. Like Capo and the elder Yahweh was going to earlier. If the elites ain't gonna repent, how much more the average Joe six-pack Edomite, man? This is a pure example of pride. These niggas don't give a fuck about the plight of what our people have to go through in their history, man.
Facts. Corner, if you got it, or you want me to get it?
Which one was it? The Revelation?
Revelations 9 and you can start at 20.
Okay. So Revelation chapter 9 and verse 20. "And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of their works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver, and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk."
Right. So these elites, they're not gonna be sorrowful. Starting first and foremost with Edomites, man. These Edomites, you see, their whole mindset, they're not gonna repent. They're not gonna be like, "Oh man, we was wrong. We got to turn away from that." They're gonna be stuck in their ways. That's why the kingdom of heaven, we're gonna have to put these niggas in subjection and slavery for 1,000 years. We gotta beat that shit out of them.
Right.
But these Edomites in particular, they not going for that.
Mm-hmm.
God. Verse 21.
Hey, because if I can add to what you just said, like they had to beat the fight out of Jake. We're gonna do that to them, man.
God.
Yep.
So verse 21, Revelation 9:21. "Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts."
And this is exactly what this guy is. He's in that spirit.
Mhm.
You know, here it is. We have this abundant amount of information that's out here, publicly available, right? That shows you the atrocities that Edomites have committed to put themselves in the seat of rulership. But what is this guy's mindset? I relish in that. You know, this was the greatest. This was the greatest act of conquering ever done in the history of the planet.
I'll never be ashamed of that.
I'll never be ashamed of that. You're not gonna be ashamed of the fact that your ancestors was child trafficking. You're not gonna be ashamed of the fact that your ancestors were the biggest drug traffickers in the history of the planet. The biggest murderers.
You have the biggest blood trail out of any nation on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's gonna talk about that. Except the
Yeah,
prophet.
like the elderman not the South, I say, man. They're the league leaders in blood, man. Right? They got 50,000 points like LeBron. You know?
Yep.
And that's only what we know.
Right.
That's the crazy part. So imagine what we don't know.
Bro, they came out with an article a couple days ago talking about how over there in Gaza, the death toll hit like 50,000. But that's just the reported deaths.
Man.
Right.
That's a grossly under it's grossly, what's the word I'm looking for? It's less than what it really is.
Right.
By a gross amount. There's far more deaths at the hands of those Amalekites.
Oh yeah.
And
you think about like what the British were doing, the Dutch were doing, right? These are all Edomites, right? They were all doing the same things. America just happens to have been doing it on a more grander scale, but they were going throughout the entire earth pre-America, man.
Right. Because I think it was you that said it earlier, Quantaroff. The American Edomite, they try to disassociate themselves from the French, the Dutch, the Spanish, the Spaniards, the British. All these Edomites have done insane wickedness to the tribes over here in America, man. And Central and South America. All right. So hey, that just shows you this nigga has a lot to pay for, man.
Yep.
Well, we can grab that number. That's pretty much all I had.
Okay. This is Numbers 35 and 33. So you shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood defileth the land.
Mm-hmm.
And the land cannot be cleansed.
Sluggy, fish out, Sluggy.
Okay. So, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it.
But by the blood of him that shed it. So as you heard Matt Walsh himself admit, he is proud of the accomplishment of what colonialism and conquest has done. The European colonialism and conquest has done. But as we're going into throughout this whole lesson, that has been nothing but a history of bloodshed and wickedness, man. You have brought death into the earth on a grand scale. All right, here in America, and it's only getting worse by the day, man. Okay, so you devils have a lot to pay for, and America has to be, pretty much, destroyed because this place is defiled. The blood of the righteous is pretty much, crying out.
That's it. Hey, like the brother that made mention of we read about them not repenting of the murders, man. Right. Esau he's on trial right now, and he's going through his sentencing. And when you deal with the judge, if you don't show any level of remorse, what are they going to do? They're going to throw the book at you, man. Right?
Yep.
And then in the case of murder, it's a death sentence, for Esau, man. Right? He's going to face execution. Right? It's not going to be any type of rehabilitation that can happen to these Edomites, man. The rest of the heathen can be rehabilitated. He can't. He can't be. He's too far gone.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Okay. Yeah, it's going to talk about who can make straight who the Lord made crooked.
Yep.
You can't fix this damn devil. I don't give a fuck how many years you try. Hey, Jacob tried it. John Hyrcanus had Esau convert to keep the laws, and look look where that got them to where they were eventually able to get up into the priesthood, and now they stolen our identity, man. You know, so it's not gonna work. The only solution, like I forgot that leader, I think he was African or whatever, but the dude said it. You know, the only way that you could really fix so-called white people is for them to be wiped out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna read this in the NLT, Numbers 35 and 33. This will ensure that the land where you live will not be polluted, for murder pollutes the land, and no sacrifice except the execution of the murderer can purify the land from murder.
Mm.
You know, so so say the scriptures, man. Right, the execution of the murderer, the most bloodthirsty man in existence, has to take place, right, in order to purify, to rectify all his misdeeds, man.
Yeah, hey, it's the scriptures, man. The scriptures is bad. In the words of King Los, God said it, I didn't. You know, so hey, it's just what it is, man.
That's it.
Yep.
Well, judgment.
Hey,
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, isn't Matt Walsh one of these Edomites that have reestablished their relationship with the Lord after this recent triumph of Trump being inaugurated?
Right. Right.
Right.
Maybe he should read that.
Facts.
Oh nah, that'll break him like Jonah Hill. When Jonah Hill, he's a small hat. When he found the truth of the Bible, he's like, yo, I don't believe in God no more.
Yeah.
Never did.
You know, but yeah, they never did anyway. But yeah, y'all have anything else?
Nah.
All right, so we're gonna end it right here then. You know, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. So with that, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Barcha HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect. Until next time, we say Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.